They thought they were coming to watch a routine Wimbledon match. Instead, they witnessed the exact moment tennis history changed forever. By the time the final ball landed beyond the baseline, thousands of stunned spectators were no longer talking about the defending champion. They were talking about a 21-year-old from the Philippines who had just turned the most prestigious court in tennis into something that felt more like Manila than London. Nobody expected the noise. Nobody expected the emotion. And almost nobody expected what Alex Eala was about to do next. Because this wasn't simply an upset. It was the beginning of a story that had been quietly building for weeks, while the rest of the tennis world was looking somewhere else. And once you see everything that happened before that unforgettable afternoon, the result becomes even more unbelievable. The celebration began long before the first serve was struck. Hours before the gates opened, Filipino supporters were already gathering around the All England club, proudly carrying red, blue, and yellow flags through streets that had never seen anything quite like it. Hand-painted signs appeared everywhere. Families traveled across countries just to witness history with their own eyes. Even Henman Hill, usually filled with neutral tennis fans, slowly transformed into a sea of Philippine colors. It wasn't simply support for a player. It felt like an entire nation had packed its dreams into one suitcase and brought them to Wimbledon. Inside center court, however, reality looked completely different. Waiting across the net stood one of the greatest players in modern tennis. A reigning Wimbledon champion, a multiple Grand Slam winner, a player who had spent years making elite opponents look ordinary. Rankings suggested there should only be one outcome. Experience suggested the same thing. Yet beneath those expectations, something dangerous had been growing, and very few people were paying attention. What most fans didn't realize was that Alex Eala hadn't arrived at Wimbledon hoping for a miracle. She arrived believing she belonged. That confidence wasn't built overnight. It had been earned point by point, match by match, long before the cameras finally turned toward her. While headlines focused on bigger names, Alex was quietly putting together one of the most impressive stretches of tennis in her young career. And each victory carried a message the rest of the locker room was beginning to understand. Just 27 days before stepping onto center court, Alex found herself fighting through another battle on the grass courts of Birmingham. Things looked difficult after dropping the opening set, but instead of fading away, she did what champions always do. She adapted. She stayed patient. She trusted her game when everything around her suggested panic. The comeback wasn't just another trophy. It became her second WTA 125 title of the season and the first major sign that something extraordinary was taking shape. Most players would have celebrated and moved on. Alex did the opposite. She treated that victory as the beginning rather than the destination. Days later, she walked onto the courts in Berlin and delivered another statement that sent quiet shockwaves through professional tennis. One after another, elite opponents fell. First came a victory over one of the highest-ranked players in the world. Then another top 10 star followed. Grass courts, once considered unfamiliar territory, suddenly became the perfect stage for her fearless style of play. Behind closed doors, conversations inside the locker room started changing. Coaches noticed it first. Players noticed it second. Nobody wanted to admit it publicly, but the numbers spoke louder than opinions. Alex wasn't pulling off lucky wins anymore. She was consistently defeating some of the best players on the planet. By the time Wimbledon officially began, she had already built an undefeated record against top 10 opponents on grass that season. Suddenly, facing the defending champion didn't seem impossible. It seemed inevitable. Still, the biggest surprise came from an unexpected place. Before the tournament even started, the reigning champion was asked about the young Filipino challenger during a press conference. Her answer sounded calm, but hidden inside it was something almost nobody recognized until later. She admitted she didn't really know Alex's game on grass and would probably need to study it. At first glance, the comment appeared harmless. But looking back, it revealed something much bigger. Because this wasn't the first time they had shared a court. Months earlier in Miami, Alex had already shown the tennis world she wasn't intimidated by big names. She defeated the future Wimbledon champion in one of the biggest victories of her career, proving that confidence could sometimes outweigh reputation. Yet somehow, despite that painful lesson, not enough attention had been paid to what Alex was becoming. While many dismissed Miami as a surprise result, Alex kept improving in silence. The champion underestimated a player who had been evolving every single week. And that's where the story took an even more fascinating turn. The atmosphere surrounding Alex grew larger with every round she survived. During her early Wimbledon matches, Filipino fans arrived before sunrise just to secure seats on outside courts. Long queues wrapped around the grounds. Massive Philippine flags waved proudly through entrances usually associated with quiet tradition rather than loud celebration. Every victory attracted even more supporters. Every interview strengthened the emotional connection between Alex and millions watching from home. After one of those wins, Alex stepped toward the microphone and thanked her supporters in Tagalog. It lasted only a few seconds, yet those words echoed far beyond Wimbledon. Social media exploded almost instantly. Thousands of Filipinos shared the clip with overwhelming pride. For many of them, this wasn't simply about tennis anymore. It was about finally seeing someone from their country standing confidently among the world's sporting elite. By Saturday, center court no longer felt like neutral territory. Every point Alex won was greeted with thunderous cheers. Every long rally drew louder reactions. Every break point felt like the entire stadium was holding its breath together. The energy inside the arena became impossible to ignore, even for experienced players accustomed to performing under enormous pressure. Then came the opening set. What unfolded over the next 84 minutes felt less like tennis and more like psychological warfare. Every game became its own battle. Momentum changed constantly. Pressure increased with every passing point. Alex refused to blink. Twice she stared directly at losing the set, only to erase those opportunities with fearless shot-making. Then the pressure shifted to the defending champion. Suddenly she found herself defending break points against a player who simply refused to disappear. The tiebreak became an emotional roller coaster unlike anything either player expected. Every rally carried enormous consequences. Every mistake felt magnified. The crowd could sense history hovering over the court, waiting for someone brave enough to claim it. Alex earned one opportunity after another, only to watch them disappear. But instead of showing frustration, she kept attacking. She kept believing. And eventually that belief broke through. When the champion's forehand sailed beyond the baseline, the stadium erupted. It wasn't just applause. It sounded like years of hope exploding into a single unforgettable moment. Alex had captured the opening set after one of the most intense battles Wimbledon had seen in years. But what nobody realized at that exact moment was that the hardest part wasn't over. In many ways, it had only just begun. Something inside the defending champion changed after losing that tiebreak. The confidence that had carried her through countless Grand Slam victories suddenly looked uncertain. Meanwhile, Alex looked calmer than ever. She wasn't celebrating wildly. She wasn't looking overwhelmed by the occasion. She carried herself like someone who had already imagined this moment hundreds of times before it finally became reality. Statistics would later explain just how remarkable her performance truly was. She converted the majority of her crucial break opportunities while repeatedly escaping danger on her own serve. Her winners came at exactly the right moments. More importantly, her mistakes stayed under control while her opponent's frustration continued growing. This wasn't luck. It wasn't momentum alone. It was intelligent, disciplined tennis played under the greatest pressure imaginable. Imagine standing across the net from a six-time Grand Slam champion. Imagine hearing thousands of voices surrounding you inside the most famous tennis stadium in the world. Imagine knowing an entire country is watching every swing of your racket. For most players, that pressure becomes overwhelming. For Alex, it became fuel. Every difficult moment seemed to sharpen her focus instead of breaking her confidence. And then something happened that perfectly captured everything people would later remember about this match. Midway through a breathtaking rally, Alex lost her footing and crashed onto the grass. Most players would have accepted the point was over. Instead, while still on the ground, she stretched her racket just enough to send the ball back across the net, forcing the rally to continue. She didn't win that point. But what happened immediately afterward revealed exactly why this performance was becoming unforgettable. She responded by winning the next point, and then another, as if refusing to let one setback define the battle. And with every game that followed, the impossible suddenly felt closer than anyone dared imagine. The second set unfolded with a completely different energy. The defending champion was searching for answers, but Alex had already found something far more powerful than momentum. She had found absolute belief. Every return landed deeper. Every forehand carried conviction. Every sprint across the baseline looked effortless. The player many expected to crumble under the spotlight was now dictating the biggest match of her career, point after point. Across the stadium, the atmosphere became electric. Every winner from Alex brought another explosion of cheers. The noise no longer sounded like support for an underdog. It sounded like thousands of people realizing they were witnessing history before their eyes. The defending champion, known for controlling the biggest stages, suddenly found herself reacting instead of leading. That shift changed everything. Then came championship-defining moments that statistics alone could never explain. Alex chased every impossible ball as if the match depended on it. She fought for every inch of grass. She refused to surrender a single rally. It wasn't just talent on display. It was years of sacrifice finally revealing themselves on the sport's biggest stage. When match point finally arrived, time almost seemed to slow down. One clean forehand flew off Alex's racket and landed exactly where it needed to. The return never came back. For a brief second, silence filled the air as everyone processed what had just happened. Then center court erupted. Alex dropped her racket, covered her face with emotion, and tears began to flow. They weren't tears of relief alone. They were the release of years spent chasing a dream that so many believed was impossible. During the post-match interview, Alex shared a memory that instantly touched millions around the world. She spoke about being a young girl in the Philippines, practicing after school with her brother and grandfather, wearing ruffled socks, light-up shoes, and carrying dreams much bigger than anyone around her could fully understand. For legends who have collected Grand Slam trophies, this might have seemed like another victory. But for Alex, it meant everything. Yet even in the middle of that emotional celebration, she revealed the mindset that separates great players from future champions. She smiled and admitted she was emotional, but she wasn't satisfied. Those few words said everything. This victory wasn't the finish line. It was the beginning. Within hours, social media exploded. Fans from every corner of the world admitted they had never felt so emotional watching a tennis interview. People who had never followed the sport suddenly became supporters of Alex. Wimbledon itself embraced the moment, while messages of congratulations poured in from some of the biggest names in sports, proving this achievement had reached far beyond tennis. The victory also carried enormous meaning for an entire region. Southeast Asia had waited decades to see one of its own reach this level on the Grand Slam stage. Alex wasn't simply climbing the rankings anymore. She was changing what young athletes across the region believed was possible. And perhaps that's the most remarkable part of this story. The scoreboard will always remember the upset. The record books will remember the victory. But years from now, people won't just remember the day Alex defeated a defending Wimbledon champion. They'll remember the afternoon one fearless 21-year-old walked onto the most famous court in tennis carrying the hopes of an entire nation, and walked off proving those hopes were never too big to become reality.